Hello, everyone. I'm Demetrius,
I'm Martia.
And I'm Renee.
and this is Sipping on Wine, a true crime podcast.
Hey,
Hey,
y'all.
ladies. Hey, sippers.
We're back.
We're back. We're back.
Hey, guys.
Another episode. Are you
How
ready?
you ladies doing?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing?
We're good. I'm good.
I'm good. I am really good.
Okay.
Ready for this true crime week to see who all
Girl, let's
investigates
get
with
it.
us and become detectives.
You know, let's get it.
All right.
I'm
Since
excited.
okay. All right. Let's dive into our drink of the week. I just want to throw this in, ladies. I actually have two for this week, plus the one we're drinking, and I have
you had an extra one.
Okay. I have an extra one because it was requested that we give one. I don't know if anybody saw that we give one as a virgin drink because they didn't drink alcohol.
How dreadful.
Maybe they have a baby on board or something like that. So I won't judge.
All right. We no judgment zone here. We just drink it freely. Okay. So I'll start with the first one. It's called a margarita mocktail. And what I'll do is make a post about it with the ingredients and everything. But I want everyone to know in that mock cocktail or mocktail, as they call it, it has pickle juice to give you a resemblance of a vodka.
Okay.
So
pickle juice. I've never heard of that as a substitute, but I can see it. I can.
Yeah.
See that would work.
Okay. I'm gonna post that as well. It can be used as an option with or without it. And also, we're drinking on today blue
alcoholic drink.
Okay. Now this one has some alcohols. It's Blue Goose cocktail.
And it's so good.
And we'll post that. And this one, sippers, is Hypnotic and Grey Goose vodka. So there you go, sippers. We have your mocktail and we have one that's a cocktail, okay? With a little bit of extra inside the glass. All right. So everybody, are you ready for our true crime for today?
I'm ready.
Okay, ladies and gents, before we start our true crime for today of this week, we're going to have Martia introduce something that we're doing new for December.
Get ready, sippers, because December is our first month where we're going to do a theme for our podcast episodes. And our theme for December is going to be crimes that were made into movies. And we've got some good ones for you. So get ready, guys.
All right. Be ready. Be ready. We are ready for y'all.
Yes, indeed.
That was a good theme. I think, my ladies picked that one and I was like, okay, that'll work. We got some good stuff that turned in from a true crime into a movie. So
exactly.
Get ready, sippers. It's coming.
I can't wait.
Okay, sippers. Today's true crime is going to take us to Van Nuys, California. Did I get it right, ladies?
You got it.
So this case is about Stephanie Lazarus and Sherri Rasmussen, a real true crime of passion. Some may call it a love triangle and others may call it obsession. But let me know what you think about either choice by the end of this true crime. Okay, sippers, get your beverages ready. You may want to sip on this because it may get a little complicated. So let's dive in. Stephanie Lazarus was born on May 4th, 1960, to both Shelton Perry Lazarus and Carol Lou Burns. There isn't much information that I could find about her childhood and her upbringing, but Stephanie grew up in Northwest LA, which is Los Angeles, and Simi Valley, which is considered a rural area. In high school, she played sports like basketball, track, and tennis. And in an interview I found, her mother stated there wasn't a girl tennis team, so the high school allowed her to play on the boys' team. So in 1978, Stephanie would graduate high school and attend UCLA, where she studied both psychology and political science. She also played on UCLA's junior varsity women's basketball team. While in college, Stephanie would meet a young man named John Ruetten. John Ruetten was a mechanical engineering student. John and Stephanie shared the same dorm floor, and both were avid athletes. Sharing that in common, a friendship would develop, and soon the two would become a couple. Even after college, the pair would keep in touch and meet up casually, having an on and off again relationship. After graduating college, Stephanie didn't follow up with her current plans of becoming a lawyer, but decided to enroll in the police academy. Because of the physical training and being that she was already an athletic individual, that was more of a fit for her career path. Immediately after graduating the academy, Stephanie would become a full-fledged police officer with the Los Angeles Police Department. Shortly thereafter, Stephanie and John would end their relationship just 2 years after dating. So fast forward into late spring of 1984, John was invited to a party by some friends from UCLA, and he would attend the party and go without Stephanie. While at the party, John met a beautiful woman. She was blonde with long hair and stood 6 feet tall. She had John in awe of her beauty. Her name was Sherri Rasmussen. Let me give a little bit of background about Sherri. Sherri Rasmussen was born on February 7, 1957, to both Nuys and Loretta Rasmussen. She came from a very close-knit family and is noted by her sister Teresa to be the glue that held the family together. Sherri excelled at everything she did, so much so she entered college at 16 studying nursing and became a graduate of Loma Linda University at 20 years old. And at the age of 27, she became a director of nursing at Glendale Adventist Medical Center. It was there she gave lectures and presentations for fellow nurses. Now let's dive back into the story real quick after giving that background. A year after meeting, John and Sherri's relationship had turned into something more serious. So serious that in 1985, John proposed to Sherri on Memorial Day in San Diego on her parents' boat. This new relationship also caused John to cut off all ties with Stephanie, but that didn't stop the news from getting quickly back to her about his new engagement. She became distraught and tried multiple times to confess her love to John, but he refused to push their relationship any further. He explained to her how he had moved on, but one day Stephanie would go visit John at his condo to talk about their relationship, and she convinced him to have sex one last time because she needed closure. We heard about those love affairs.
Closure is nothing but the devil.
Right.
Yes, she needed closure. So on August 1985, Sherri would find out that the affair between John and Stephanie had occurred. But can you guess who told Sherri?
Who?
Allegedly, Stephanie would tell Sherri herself. She drove up to Sherri's job to tell her that John wanted her and how the two had sex.
Wow, that's trifling. And I thought about saying her name, but I was like, no, I know she didn't. But wow.
Yes. So we all know what happens next. When Sherri gets home from work, she confronts John about what happened at her job and what Stephanie had told her. He confessed it was true. They had sex, but he was not interested in Stephanie, and he made a horrible mistake. He also told her that this not stop their future plans, and he wanted to be married and spend the rest of their lives together. So Sherri and John will move past the situation and work on their relationship. So let me throw this little bit of information in there. When I was researching, I found this. On August 6, 1985, Stephanie will write a letter to John's mother stating, and I quote, "I'm truly in love with John, and the past year has really torn me up. I wish it didn't end the way it did, and I don't think I'll ever understand his decision." And also in her journal that she kept, she wrote, "I really don't feel like working. I found out that John's getting married." But why are you writing his mom?
Exactly. Psycho.
So this woman had it bad for John. But let's move on forward. Unfortunately, but allegedly, the harassment didn't stop. According to family and friends, Stephanie followed Sherri everywhere. One day, she came up to Sherri's job dressed provocatively and confronted her about John, saying, and I quote, "If she couldn't have John, nobody could. And if this marriage doesn't work out, I want you to know I'll be there to pick up the pieces," end quote.
I bet she will.
So why are you still threatening this woman? He's engaged. So Sherri couldn't go anywhere. She couldn't go to the gym or the store without seeing Stephanie just popping up. Sherri would also ask John to stop allowing her to contact him, and he assured her that Stephanie was harmless and it was nothing to be worried about. Although Sherri became fearful and unhappy that she couldn't get the ex out of her life, the two would happily marry on November 23rd, 1985. So she still pressed forward and married him, even though the ex is right there harassing her every day.
And that's just so crazy too. This was in the 80s. Like she must, technology today will pretty much you put in somebody's name and it's gonna be a dot to show you where they're at.
Okay.
But she had to be like sleeping in her car back in the 80s trying to follow this lady around.
Yes. And remember, her now. She's already on the police academy, so I don't know how technology was back then. I don't know. Like,
because if we have GPS tracking back in the 80s,
not that I know of.
I don't know.
I think it came into play yet.
That's that old school stuff.
Yes, the old school. Okay.
That's crazy.
Fast forward to February 24, 1986, only 3 months shy of being married. The unusual morning routine that occurred was John would leave out the house before Sherri to go to work. But on this morning, Sherri was scheduled to give a motivational speech at work, but she felt like it was not effective enough to present. So she called in sick, claiming a back injury that she had got prior from an aerobics class as her excuse not to go to work. Little did she know, staying at home, she would become a victim of a home invasion. When John arrived home from work that evening, he found his house ransacked and his wife dead on the living room floor. Sherri was badly beaten and had 3 gunshot wounds to the chest by a .38 caliber pistol. We've heard that story before with a .38 caliber pistol. And she had several lacerations and 1 distinctive bite mark on her left inner forearm. Also, Sherri's BMW was missing and their marriage certificate was stolen. That was the only thing.
You know, that's personal right there.
I'm stuck at the bite mark.
Right.
So why would the burglars take her marriage certificate? When police arrived on the scene, they concluded it was a burglary and they were on a search for 2 possible suspects. So let me throw that in there. When authorities arrived on the scene, guess who was absent? Stephanie. Remember, she works for the Los Angeles Police Department and she's supposed to have been on the beat with them to come to the house, but ironically, she was off that day. As far as the investigation goes, John was looked at as a possible suspect, but he had a strong alibi. He was at work that day. So without any possible leads and no one to identify the suspect, except for the fact that there was another burglary that occurred in a nearby neighboring area, the reports came back that it was 2 Latino male suspects from sketches provided, but the suspects were never identified or found, and no further leads were brought forward. So Sherri Rasmussen case was closed and listed unsolved. Shortly after her murder, John would move on and move out of the condo and move on with his life. But he and Stephanie would hook up and have sex again after Sherri's murder multiple times.
You are lying to me.
So meanwhile, Sherri's family will offer a reward for any information on his daughter's death, but nothing came of it. But Nuys Rasmussen, Sherri's father, was big on it being a murder and not a burglary. He asked authorities to question John's ex-girlfriend, the LA cop, because of all the claims Sherri made about Stephanie to him and others. The lead detective on the case brushed him off and told him he was looking at too much television. Okay.
Wow.
So therefore, Stephanie Lazarus was never looked at as a possible suspect. And even John admitted he didn't feel she had anything to do with his wife's murder. We're going to fast forward. I'm going to dive back into Stephanie real quick. She would continue to work for the LAPD, start her own private investigation firm, and receive other accolades in her honor. She married a fellow officer in 1986, and the pair would adopt a daughter. I also found out that John would later remarry, and he never followed up with Sherri's death. He just left it as a cold case, and they couldn't conclude anything else further, unlike his father-in-law, who kept pushing authorities to keep researching. However, more than 2 decades later, in 2004, a LAPD criminalist, Jennifer Francis, would test DNA evidence from all cold cases, including the cold case of Sherri Rasmussen. During the examination of Sherri's autopsy, there was saliva DNA collected from the bite wound she received on her arm. It was overlooked as evidence because DNA testing wasn't available then, and it was not properly logged, but it managed to remain stored and labeled because of the unique bite marking. After collecting the DNA, Francis requested Rasmussen's file to review the case because the suspects listed were male, but the bite mark matched that of being a female, undermining the initial theory. In the file that it was noted, a report of a third-party female who had allegedly harassed the victim at her job and residence before the murder. But the DNA evidence she found would go cold again because no one in the department wanted to pursue the case. Until 2009, the case would fall into the hands of 2 detectives, Jim Nuttall and Pete Barba. They would altogether throw out the theory of burglary. and lists the case as murder. Since DNA found a possible suspect, but there was no female listed in the previous investigations. A call was made to John Ruetten by Detective Nuttall, and when he asked who was his ex-girlfriend, John named Stephanie Lazarus and said that she was a police officer. The case instantly took a different turn. Stephanie at this time had been promoted to a higher level of detective. She was working with art theft cases. I heard that that's like a high profile for the art.
I cannot believe that this lady got away with this for so long and was promoted and went on with life. And the
mind
husband
you,
went
we are
back
now
to
in
messing with her.
2009.
That's
Yes.
what I'm saying. Wow.
She was working with the art theft cases, ladies, and she also became well liked in her community and well known throughout the police department. So the two would have to investigate her discreetly as to not alert anyone else in the department of their investigation. But they needed a way to collect DNA from her to see if she matched that of the suspect listed with the DNA. The pair would secretly trail Stephanie for a while, and one day they struck gold. While out in public, they managed to collect a cup that Stephanie had thrown away in a trash can and took it to have the DNA swab to see if it matched the DNA sample collected from the bite mark on Sherri's arm in 1986. The results came back a perfect match, and now they had their suspect. Stephanie Lazarus was quickly identified as the killer. They only had one thing left to do, and that was to devise a plan to get Stephanie into the interrogation room under the impression she was there to question a suspect for a case that she was actively working on. But there would be no one waiting, but Stephanie would be the suspect to be interrogated. She was finally on the other end of the law. She was the suspect that they had been looking for all these years, and it was overlooked. The detectives spent more than an hour of questioning. They asked Stephanie about her relationship with John and how she knew Sherri Rasmussen. Did she ever show up at Sherri's job, and how did she meet Sherri? And they told her how friends and family mentioned how she threatened Sherri at her work. But Stephanie would constantly repeat, I don't know her. They never spoke, and I never met her. And they never fought, because it was also said in the interrogation, they have that available online. The friends were saying how her and Sherri kind of like had a verbal fight with one another at Sherri's job.
Well, have a seat. This is I didn't want to bring this up in your squadron. Oh, no, it's fine. I think we're good.
You're going to bring somebody in, right?
Yeah, well, I can explain the whole thing
That's
too.
fine.
I didn't want to talk about this in the squadron because
okay.
I don't know who people are listening.
That's true.
And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is
sure,
doing.
no problem.
Okay. But like we're talking about being busy and stuff, we've been assigned a case that we've been looking at.
Okay.
It's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Ruetten?
John Ruetten?
Ruetten.
Oh, yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in, let's see, went to UCLA in 1978 I started, and, met him at school at the dorms.
Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends. I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's a case we're working on, and it involves John, and in there, some of the statements we reviewed, there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we were good friends, lived in the dorms for 2 years.
You guys lived in the same dorm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dykstra.
Okay. Were you guys just friends or anything else, or?
Yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah. Was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated. I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Do you know who she was or anything?
Well, let me think. God, it's been a long time ago. I may have met her.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me ask you. You said you dated John. How long did you guys date?
I mean, are you guys? Is this something? I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art, and how you guys are.
Here's
I mean,
Stephanie, here's the situation. It's basically, we knew that this, when we saw this in this chrono, that maybe, there was some relationship there. That's what the chrono seemed to indicate, and we didn't want to come up to you at your desk and ask those kinds of questions or do anything. You know how up there people can see what's going on if you go into an interview room or people are in there getting supplies.
Okay.
So we wanted to afford you some privacy, some confidentiality to talk about this, because we thought it might be, something, you're married to someone else, obviously, and so forth, and that you may not want to, talk about these things in that setting where someone, we don't want the rumor mill or gossip or any of that kind of stuff to start.
That's fine. I mean,
so we did this just as a means to try and speak to you in just a confidential place where where your business isn't out there for other people in your division to know about.
God, that's been a million years ago. I mean, what year is it now? 2009? I mean, I graduated in 82. 82, yeah. We dated. I dated other guys. I'm sure he dated other girls.
Well, let me ask you, roughly how long would you say you guys dated?
Oh, jeez. I couldn't even say. I mean, I started school there in 78. Mm-hmm. I started UCLA in 1978. Mm-hmm. I graduated in 82. I don't even remember what year he graduated, if it was a year or two before me.
Okay.
I think he was a little bit older than I was. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't remember if he was born, let's say I'm born in 1960. I don't know if he was born in 58 or 59. I mean, I knew his parents, I knew his sister, his brother went to Northridge. Mm-hmm. His sister spent the night at my house before. Obviously, I spent the night at his house before. He probably spent the night at my house before.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because from what you're telling me, is you guys dated while you were in college together, right?
Yeah, and probably after college. I can't. Geez, I'm trying to think when I met my husband. I met my husband when did I meet Scott? I don't know what to tell you on that.
I mean, when you heard about John's wife being killed, I mean, what was your reaction? I mean, you thought you heard about it through a friend or in a bulletin or something?
Either a friend or a bulletin. I called the family. I called maybe some of his friends that I knew, and I mean, obviously it shocked you if I heard it at work, which I may have. I faintly remember a bulletin going around. Either that or somebody called me. I don't remember.
Right.
And then I probably called his family. I don't know initially. I can't say if I initially spoke to him or not. I honestly don't remember. I may have said to somebody, "Hey, have him call me if he wants to talk," and then he may have done that.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what the circumstances were regarding her death?
Geez, let me think back. I don't know if it was, a burglary or something. It's been so many years. I can faintly think that I may have saw a flyer.
Yeah.
May have had her picture on it. That's why I say, if somebody had called me, I may not have known what her last name was. I may have. Maybe if you told me, I would remember it.
Do you remember the first name?
Shelly, Sherri, I don't know, something maybe, like I said, it's been so many years, and
from all the years, as far as you can remember, do you remember ever talking to her?
Well, I said earlier, I may have, I may have talked to her.
You mentioned a hospital, maybe. You may have talked to her at a hospital.
Yeah, I may have. I'm thinking back now. You guys are bringing up all these old memories.
No, it kind of dusts off the cuff.
Geez. I'm thinking that because we would date. He would date other people. I would date other people, and I think at one point, I mean, he may have been dating her, or I don't know, maybe he was married. I don't even remember. And I'm like, you know what? Why are you calling me if you're either dating her or living with her or married to her? Because I honestly don't remember the time frame. And I'm like, come on, knock it off. And now I'm thinking I may have gone to her and say, hey, you know what? Is he dating you? He's bothering me. And so I'm thinking that we had a conversation about that. One or two, maybe. It could have been three. I don't want to say I had 3 conversations with her.
Like at her work or at their house or.
No, I'm thinking that he obviously must have told me where she worked. I'm thinking it was a hospital somewhere in LA, and I could have been. Again, what year was that? Where was I working? I'm trying to think of where. When did you say they got married?
I don't know. I think it was like in '85 or '86 or something like that. We just kind of picked this up. We don't know a lot about it.
I mean, I could have been working in Hollywood, it sounds like, if that's where I was working. So I could have said, okay, well, and I went and talked to her. And just said, hey, you know what? If he's dating you, he keeps calling me, why don't you tell him to knock it off or whatever? And, because I probably would have told him to knock it off.
You would have told John?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would have said, hey, and again.
But you wanted to tell her too? You wanted them both to know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting her called, and I'm faintly remembering.
And when you say that you may have, that you talked to his wife, said, hey, or I don't know if it was, I guess it wasn't his wife at that time, girlfriend or whatever. And
yeah, I don't know if it was his wife or his girl. I mean, quite honestly, I don't even remember.
When you said like, hey, he's calling me, he needs to knock it off or what have you. I mean, was that civil? Was there? I mean,
no, there was not. I don't think there was anything. If the conversation lasted a few minutes, I can't even remember. And what is it like? We went out to lunch or anything.
Right, but there was no like arguments or fights
I don't think
it didn't
so.
get heated or anything like
Not that I recall. No, I mean. I would think that would stand out. I would think. Now again, that's not standing out in my mind.
So you didn't have any problems with her then?
No.
You didn't have any issues with her?
No, I mean.
But let me ask you. It seems like you didn't have any issue. Now, did she have an issue with you as far as because now you're telling her, hey, tell him to stop calling. Now, she's like, hey, you figure she'd be threatened by you.
I don't know. I mean,
from what you remember, as far as when you talked to her, maybe you didn't take it as serious, but maybe did she? Maybe she was bugged.
You mean like was she throwing things at me or something, or?
Well, no, just as far as you're trying to explain, like, hey, have him stop calling me. Stop playing games.
I tell you, if the conversation, I couldn't even tell you how long the conversation. If you said, did it last a half an hour? Did it last 3 minutes? Did it last 20 minutes? I can't even remember. It's been so long ago.
You just remember talking to her, telling her.
Yeah, and that's why you said, how many times you talked to her? I don't know how many times I talked to her. Maybe it was once, maybe it was twice, maybe it was 3 times. I honestly don't know.
Right.
I don't know what year it was. If he said, I met her in such and such year, I'd go, okay, well, no. Yeah, couldn't tell you.
Well, like I said, as we were looking at the case, and, we had read the notes as far as from Sherri's friend saying you guys had problems or words, and they got heated. And the reason we're asking you is they had mentioned that an incident at her work had occurred, and they've also told us that an incident at her house occurred.
You know what?
And this is at her house during the period of time that they're married.
That's just not sounding familiar at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what? That's just not sound. Again, if someone says that I was at her house and I had an incident with her, that just doesn't sound. Was John there? Did John say this happened and other people were there? I don't recall. I mean, it just doesn't sound, familiar.
And this is an incident where you showed up. You weren't supposed to show up, and things got heated.
At his house?
Yeah.
that just doesn't sound familiar. I mean,
Nothing.
No, it's not sounding familiar.
So
not at all.
Now you're saying not familiar because it's just something you remember, or it's just.
You know what? I'd have to say I don't remember, because I don't remember. That doesn't sound familiar. I
mean, would you remember something like that in your life?
Well, I would think, but
sort of drama involving, the other woman type of thing.
Did you ever fight with her?
You mean like we fought?
Yeah. Did you ever duke it out with her?
No, I don't think so. I mean.
You'd remember that, right? That would be pretty.
Yeah, I would think so.
Pretty specific.
Yeah, like I said, I mean,
dramatic.
Obviously, it just doesn't sound familiar. I mean, what are they saying? So I fought with her. So now I'm getting the jump, the leap. Excuse me, I haven't eaten. They're saying, okay, I fought with her, so I must have killed her. I mean, come on. I mean, that's, I don't even know who these people are. I can't even say I met any of these people. I mean, it's insane. If it happened, I honestly don't remember it. That's all I can tell you.
But I don't know. Would it be something you would remember? Because I don't know if any other intense incidents in your life that have occurred. You'd recall those, right?
Well,
like a use of force at work or a car crash, something you're involved in. You'd be like, yeah, I remember.
You would think I would remember. I would think if it was something that crazy. I can't say. You say, how many fights have you gotten into? In your life. A few at work.
Well, fights at work are kind of different because we've all had uses of force or whatever. But
I haven't even had a lot of those.
Right, but if you're actually,
I played.
Like if Dan and I got mad at each other and we threw blows in the squad room, 20 years later, I would remember it.
I would think I would remember it, but that's what I'm saying. That's not sounding familiar to me at all.
Well, let me ask you. Throughout your life, would you remember the number of fights you've been involved in? And I don't mean kind of like a bump or something, just a physical fight where everybody's hitting each other, scratching, pulling, whatever.
Maybe. I can't say I've been in a lot. I played sports.
Yeah.
You get into scuffles there, and.
And you recall some of those, right?
Yeah, I can recall some of them.
Games get intense.
But like I said, you saying this is just not ringing a bell.
Nothing.
But I don't know what to tell you. That's just not ringing a bell to me.
It'd be something.
I would think I would remember.
Yeah. If you're in this,
I would think so too.
If you're in this other girl's house and
words
are exchanged, you figure you recall.
I would think.
Especially if it got physical, right?
Well, I would think.
And it's relating to, a guy that you were dating, but she's dating now, and it's just kind of like a whole love triangle type of thing. You figure you'd remember that, right?
Well, I would think.
So.
I don't know what to still tell you.
Yeah. No, because I'm looking at the notes, and these people are kind of, they're pointing the finger at you.
Well.
And.
That's not ringing a bell to me, so, I don't know, it's, I don't know what to tell you. That just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah, so you, offhand, you don't recall ever going into her house and having words and physically,
No.
attacking her attacking you?
No.
Nothing like that?
No, that's, no.
Nothing?
No. No. Not at all.
Okay. Well, on some of the, on this case, this occurred in '86, right? Detectives processed the scene, things of that nature. They did fingerprints and all that stuff. The standard stuff. You've been doing this longer than I have.
Well, I don't know about that. I got 26 years on, going on 26.
19, so. But, as they processed everything, they did the best they could at that time, and they looked at a lot of people and different things in this case. And you're right.
If you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then, I got a problem with, with that.
Okay.
Okay? So, if you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, hey, I'm a suspect. Well, now I got a problem with, now you're accusing me of this? Is that what you're saying?
We're trying to figure out what happened, Stephanie.
Well, I'm just saying, do I need to get a lawyer if you're accusing me of this?
You don't have to. I mean,
you're
here of your own free will. I mean,
no, I know, but
I mean, you're not under arrest. You can walk out.
You can leave whenever you like.
Well, but, I'm trying to give you some background of how I knew him, and now you're telling me that somebody's saying that we had this big old fight, and I don't even know what you're talking about. And I don't want to, get in trouble for something that I didn't even do, or you're saying I did something.
Okay.
Yeah, we understand.
I mean, how would you guys like it if the tables were turned on you?
I understand. No.
No, that's what we're telling you. I mean, you're free to go whenever you want. If this makes you uncomfortable and you want to,
now you're starting to make me uncomfortable.
The thing is, I mean, detectives did what they could at that time on the crime scene. Okay, and the burglary thing you're talking about, that is an angle that they looked at. But now we're looking at everything else on the case. Because nobody was ever arrested on the case.
I don't know that or not.
Okay. Now, what we'd like to do is, obviously you know about all the DNA stuff and things of the nature that, gets done on cases nowadays. If we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe. Because now
because
now I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
because I know how this stuff works. Okay, don't get me wrong. You're right. I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I wish I had been recording this because now it sounds like there's you're telling these people saying I'm fighting with her, and now it sounds like you're trying to I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, we know.
Okay. And now it almost sounds like you're trying to pin something on me. No, now I got that sense.
Well, what it gets to on these cases, and you know it as well as I do, our job is to identify and eliminate suspects.
I can't believe this.
So if we ask you to the point to give us a DNA sample, a buccal swab, so we can identify or eliminate you, would you be willing to do that?
Maybe. Because I know this.
Well, that's where we're at too. I mean, because right now, from looking at the evidence, it's it's possible we may have some DNA at the location.
That's great.
And we're going to do what we can to try to put this thing together. And your name's in the book. These people are pointing at you for whatever reason.
I don't know why. That's just crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
And it would be irresponsible on our part not to look at it.
I know. You guys have to do your job, and I guess I'm going to have to contact somebody. So.
That's fair.
I mean, because I know how this stuff works. I mean, I just can't believe it.
I mean, we understand that. I mean, if we were in your position, I mean, we would feel the same way.
I just can't even believe it. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that somebody would be saying that I did this. I mean, we had a fight, and so I went and killed her. I mean, come on.
Well,
that's...
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for giving me the courtesy. I wish I recorded it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Stephanie, take care.
All right.
This is absolutely crazy.
Have a seat, Stephanie.
This is insane.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
Yes.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
This
then.
is crazy.
Okay.
This is I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
Y'all, Stephanie had finally had enough of the questioning and proceeded to leave the interrogation room. But before she could get too far, they called her back into the room and placed Stephanie Lazarus under arrest. She was arrested for the 1986 murder of Sherri Rasmussen on June 5th, 2009, just 23 years after the murder.
Wow.
Yeah, so her case became a very high-profile case, and it was all over the media. She was the talk of the town and in the police department, as they were shocked that one of their own was arrested for murder. Stephanie Lazarus' case would go to trial, and on March 9th, 2012, 3 years later, after more than 4 weeks and 60 witnesses later, the jury took more than a day to deliberate and reach a verdict to find Stephanie Lazarus guilty of first-degree murder. So on May 11, 2012, Stephanie Lazarus, at 52 years old, was sentenced to 27 years to life with credit of time already served at the California Institution of Women in Corona, when she will be eligible for parole in 2034.
Damn, 2034.
I can't even believe that they have any type of eligibility for parole for her. Like the fact that she got away with it for so long is crazy.
And then she was a cop at that.
Right.
She should.
Yeah, and then turned into a high-profile detective for art theft. So that's the case of Sherri Rasmussen and Stephanie Lazarus. So do you call it obsession, or do we call it, I don't know, like, was she obsessed with him?
She was beyond obsessed.
Or was
Yeah, I was about to say crazy obsessed.
And
Crazy.
it's hard for me not to believe that he didn't know that maybe she had something to do with it, because obviously he liked that level of crazy that she was giving him.
Yeah, because he told the wife, "Oh, don't worry about her. She's harmless."
And he slept with her after his wife was murdered
several times, is what she said. So
yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it was a situation where he knew. He might not have necessarily planned for it to happen or initiated the planning of it, but I feel like he should have been taken in, because I think what got me was he didn't pursue for the murder to be solved.
Nope.
That's
he left it as is, but the father was like very adamant. He was like, "No, this is murder.
Right.
Can you look into one of your own?" But I wonder, like, do cops really take that serious? I'm not looking into my own.
They don't. Yeah.
So for him to even say that was talking about you looking at too many television shows. Like,
they
how
protect
do you
each
even
other.
suggest that? But luckily somebody swabbed that bite mark, even though DNA wasn't popular back then in the 80s and then getting, resolved till like later in the 2000s when that criminalist came through and was like, "Hey, hold on, this is a woman bite. And this saliva is reading DNA for a female, not a male." So I'm glad those two detectives picked that case up and solved it, because that's a long time later to solve a case.
Exactly. And the person who was suspected of doing it was still alive. So I'm
still alive,
glad that she
living
was
her best life, and you murdered
apprehended.
this woman. Yes.
Right. I wonder if her father was able to kind of see that his hunch was right all along. Did it say
Yeah,
whether her father was still living?
I did follow up, and yeah, he was able to see it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, the whole family.
Okay,
sister,
good.
yep. She had siblings, so yeah, they were able to see it. But I know they were like, don't you let that lady out come 2030. I hope she don't get out.
Exactly.
Wait, how old would she be though? She was 52 at the time of her.
Probably be in her 70s, right?
Yeah, so yeah, don't get out. I hope they say no, just keep her in there. If she lives to see it, she doesn't deserve to get out. You had enough time out.
Right. Oof.
You had 20-something years to live your best life. So yeah, that's
everything. Oof.
Yeah. So, people were saying that was it a crime of passion or obsession, but I think it's a combination of both. Like,
I don't think that was a crime of passion, because Crime of passion is when you're in the moment and right there. No, you broke into her house.
Yeah, well, okay.
Like it wasn't like you guys met
weeks.
up and then.
Okay.
That's a good point because she stalked her for weeks.
Yeah.
You know, trying to find out when she was gonna be alone and all that.
Yeah,
kind
she
of stuff.
planned this. Oof.
Okay.
And then
so first degree murder is the right judgment. Then she needed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was horrible. And also, let me throw this in there. As I was researching, the gun that she used to shoot her was a gun that she, bought on her own outside of the guns that cops normally carry.
Yeah. See, she knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they could never find the murder weapon. So they have a hunch that she just, discarded the gun.
You know what
right
they say
after
about
the murder.
cop killers, like cops who are killers, that they can pretty much know how to commit the perfect crime in certain, situations. So of course she would know how to hide a gun and no one ever finds it. It's terrible.
Yep, that was. I was just mad they didn't even listen to the dad. The poor dad was like, look, please. He even put up a reward. Like if you you desperate to find a killer, if you put up a reward, but nothing came of it. So sad. But that's our case for this week. Very horrific, but it had a great ending. I'm glad she's in jail. She deserves it. And during her sentencing, they did, well, not sentencing, but when she was arrested, they set her bail at $10 million to ensure that she would not get out. So that was a very high bail amount. So that was highly profiled.
Yeah, make sure she stays there.
Yeah. So you couldn't even post bail. And that concludes our case for this week on our true crime. All right, sippers. We're gonna move into our next segment, which we call Take Another Sip. I have that one as well. So you ready, ladies?
I think I'm ready.
Okay.
I know.
I feel like I need to take me a sip now before you
take
even
your
get
sip
started.
now, because this one might be like, what? All right. So Take Another Sip is where we discuss something that really caught us off guard, surprised us. Maybe it made us mad. Maybe it made us laugh, but either way, it made us want to do what? Take another sip.
Ow.
Yes. Okay, ladies, this right here, I have a question. Since we all have daughters, what would you do if you found out she was involved in sex trafficking? Would you go out to find her? Like, would you be out there investigating yourself?
I'm on a mission.
I'm on a mission.
Right? With my gun on my hip to go get my child and by any means necessary.
Wow. So I found this article on lawenforcement.com. And in 2020, a dad in Spokane, Washington, kills his daughter's boyfriend after finding out he was sex trafficking his daughter.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So when John Eisenman learned that his 19-year-old daughter was sold by her then boyfriend, 19-year-old Andrew Sorensen, into a sex slave operation out of Seattle, he was able to rescue his daughter and get her back Spokane area. In November of 2020, a month after getting her back, Eisenman learned that the boyfriend was going to be at a location in Airway Heights, Washington. Eisenman waited for the 19-year-old and confronted him as he arrived. During that encounter, Eisenman reportedly abducted the boyfriend by tying him up and placing him in the trunk of the car. Eisenman assaulted the 19-year-old by hitting him in the head with a center block and stabbed him repeatedly, causing his death. The only evidence police had that the father did it was his own confession, in which he stated, "Hell yeah, I did it." Eisenman had no recent criminal history or any violent criminal history. He was booked in Spokane County Jail for first-degree murder, and his bond was set at $1 million. So according to court documents, Eisenman's daughter was sold into prostitution in October 2020 by her then boyfriend. Eisenman's fiance, the dad's fiance, said that he drove to Seattle to rescue his daughter after they learned of the incident. Eisenman told police his daughter was sold into the prostitution ring for $1,000. He said as soon as he found his daughter in Seattle, he drove her back to Spokane to take her to Sacred Heart Medical Center. That's the end and conclusion of that. That I know of his trial hasn't happened yet, but his bail was set at $1 million to ensure that he couldn't post bail and be, I guess, a flight risk or whatever. But that dad took it into his own hands to handle the law.
He did, and that's so tragic.
That really is tragic.
Oh man.
I wish he just would have, I don't know. I would have tricked him and like, okay, yeah, we're here. right here in the police department.
I can understand why he would have been out there like ready for whatever to get his daughter. But it's unfortunate that, because we can't just be out here killing each other just because someone else committed a crime. That's unfortunate, right? I'm not saying that the other guy deserved to die by any means. However,
well, and
I
reading
almost
it,
wish the circumstances could be taken into consideration, for the trial, and that's sad that it can't be. Yeah.
So yeah, he has no past criminal history or anything, but that dad was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get you." So a month later, he ended up murdering the, I guess, ex-boyfriend or then boyfriend, as they stated. But
How's his daughter doing though? I bet that has
they
to be
didn't give
tragic
any.
for her.
Yeah, they didn't give any follow-up. I didn't see anything on that. But as I was reading the article, and reading the article, the journalist stated that this was, in 2020 when they were defunding the police. The dad took it into his own hands to handle the, I guess, situation or handle the
that wouldn't have
boyfriend.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just what the journalist stated in that article. So I don't know. In Spokane, Washington.
Oh, okay.
So they were saying during that time, cops weren't really responding to anything because they were being defunded during that time in 2020. So say he was protecting his daughter, I guess, in his mind. Hey, but can you imagine somebody telling you, oh, your daughter was just sold into... I would love to know how he found out that information.
Right.
Like,
I can't imagine.
No.
Martia's answers are always like within reason, and mine are so. I'm just thinking, gosh, for him, he had a month. He probably should have spent a little more time plotting it a little better.
Yeah.
So that he didn't get caught. And like, if there's something you knew, you know what I'm saying? Like, because the rage that I would have within me that person had, like, if you already decide that's what you're going to do. Okay, so, plan it a little better so that you don't get caught. Do some other things.
Irrational about that when they're racing against time trying to save their kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's no rational thought behind
And you know
that.
what? We always hear stories of moms, rescuing their kids or fighting, to find their kids. Rarely do you hear stories about dads. So I thought that this
after he got his daughter back, though, right?
And then so a month later,
So I'd be sitting back and I'd just be like, oh yeah, okay. So what can I do to cover this up? Okay, to do this, I'm a lawyer.
I don't think I realized.
I'd probably get caught still, but still,
Yeah, the time I didn't think I realized that he had.
Yeah, so it was in November 2020, a month later. After getting her back, that's when he learned the boyfriend was going to be at that location and went and kidnapped him and threw him in the back of the trunk.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Because he probably doing this to other people's daughters as well.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, did this case open up an investigation to maybe save more young ladies?
I don't know. That would be a good follow-up. Yeah. I just thought it was ironic because we never really hear nothing about dads going, Dad. But I'm just happy he found his daughter because sold for $1,000. Dude, you were that desperate for money?
But he was also 19. I'm not saying 19-year-olds don't know like the value of money or whatever.
Yeah.
When I heard about his, I'm like, how are you 19 and you're out here doing this kind of stuff? Like, it's just crazy.
Like, did you not even care about the girl at all?
So a 19-year-old might be like a come up. I don't know. It's just weird. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then it was somebody you knew. Like, that's just so sad within itself. Like, but the dad I need to follow up with his. I just thought that was, like a take another step moment. Like, whoa, this dad went and found him, waited on him, killed him, and left him in the truck. That was bold.
I done took about 5 sips over here, by the way.
Okay.
Man.
That was I take another sip. So you hope you're sipping well and follow up with that story. That would be a good one to follow up on and see what the outcome was on that one. All right, we're going to move into what we call our random wind down. Are y'all ready, ladies?
I think so.
Okay. All right, so our random wind down is where we select random current events or things of our interest to have an open discussion and give our opinions on. So let's move into this one. But first, ladies, I want to ask you something. Do you know about that song called Baby Shark?
You know what? I do.
Okay.
I know where you're going with.
Baby Shark is a little catchy tune that kids and adults alike know. I don't know if I can sing it. Will I get copyrighted or nothing? But I'll just hum it.
Baby Shark. Baby Shark.
So, according to the firstpost.com, because y'all know I got to research and look up stuff, Oklahoma inmates sue jailers for torturing them by playing the Baby Shark song on loop. 4 inmates were reportedly secured to a wall with their hands cuffed behind them while the song played on loop for hours, a popular nursery song called Baby Shark. So they were tortured by this song, y'all. So now 4 jailer inmates in Oklahoma City in the U.S. have even gone ahead and filed a lawsuit of $75,000 against the Oklahoma County Sheriff and other jailers for using the song as a device to torment them in prison. In 2019, the prisoners said they had to undergo torture, which included verbal and physical assault. But what came as a surprise was that they were forced to listen to Baby Shark for hours. The lawsuit has been filed against the county sheriff, Tommy Johnson III, the jail trust, and 2 former officers and the county commissioners. Daniel Hedrick, one of the 4 prisoners, said he was handcuffed and secured to a wall while the song kept playing loudly on loop for hours. And another ex-prisoner, Joseph Mitchell, said he went through the same experience twice. The lawsuit mentions psychologist John Mayer's lines from an article which state that the South Korean entertainment company song Baby Shark has the capacity to elicit a painful reaction in the brain, as the song has tunes that are high-pitched and is also screechy, which can hurt the ears.
But it's okay for the kids and babies to listen
Yeah,
to and watch.
but they can't listen
Right.
to
again.
Right.
In November and December of 2019, when the former jail inmates were all in custody awaiting trial at the Oklahoma Detention Center, the then supervisor, along with the 21-year-old jail officers, faced misdemeanor cruelty charges in addition to the lawsuit. While the supervisors have already retired, the 2 jail officers have resigned from their jobs. They wanted to try to accuse them with a felony, but unfortunately, he couldn't find any appropriate statute to do so. So they got to try to find a way to try to, convict these jailers and the commissioners and everyone. Baby Shark was used as a torture and torment for the inmate. I can't even imagine. So like I started thinking
lawsuit. That's so stupid.
For $75,000. Are moms and dads tortured too? Because the kid go again, so can you imagine that on repeat over?
The only people in prison I have sympathy for are the people that don't belong there, the ones who are wrongfully convicted. Otherwise, I have no sympathy for prisoners, and I can't even believe that they're allowed to sue you for anything.
Yes.
Like when you think about the reason why people are in prison, some of them tortured people and killed them, and you got some nerve talking about a song is.
Yeah, it causes a painful reaction in the brain, as a song has tunes that are high pitched and also screechy that can hurt the ears. I didn't even know the song was screechy and high pitched. Is it high pitched?
I'm thinking about it in my head, and I'm just like, what's screechy or high pitched? I don't know.
Me too.
They reaching on that one.
Yeah, and just think of how the parents might feel. I don't know.
So, are they asking for 75,000 per person or just total?
Just collectively?
Oh, okay.
Between the inmates.
Still, whatever.
So
they don't go to jail. How about that?
Okay. So you won't be tormented by Baby Shark. But I thought I would share that because I thought it was kind of like ironic that Baby Shark would be used as a tormenting song.
Yeah, that's
in
crazy.
Prison. Baby Shark. I don't know.
I wonder whose idea that was.
Yeah. As a form of torture, like, oh man, don't play that, man. And then I guess they were like, that's it. That's the song to use. Yeah. All right, Sippers, you figured that out. Do you like Baby Shark? Do. I mean, on repeat, I couldn't take it. Yeah. But I guess it is what it is. So many parents had to listen to it. I even seen people make video TikToks back in the day on the song. So I don't know. That was our random wind down with that one. Baby Shark.
Yeah, that was pretty random. I give it to you. Sis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything, but this random was just very random for a Baby Shark. I keep wanting to sing it now ever since. Sippers, if you know the words, just sing along.
I just know the melody of it mostly. I'll be singing it in my head.
I'm so sorry.
Probably.
Now they gonna call me, Sippers, and be like, "You got that song?
Can I sue you and get some money?"
I love it. Well, we've come to the end of the road.
That time goes by so fast.
Yes, we had some very good information on this episode. But
it was a good episode.
Yeah, it was very informative. I wish well with the dad and with the jailers on their Baby Shark. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Okay.
Whatever with that. But I do want to do a follow up to see if they do get the money.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, who pays them though? Don't they come out of the city? I don't know.
state or
Taxpayers?
something.
Yeah. Like, well, sippers, thank you for listening. And don't forget, December is True Crimes turned into a movie.
Yeah, so tune into that.
Or that became a movie. So get ready. We got some juicy stuff coming. And once again, thank you for listening. And
Bye guys.
Bye, ladies. Bye, sippers.
Bye guys.
bye.